Here we go. So this is the BBC weekly news quiz, and we're going to do this today. So, right, okay, let me go to the slightly smaller version. This is the big photo here. Look at the smaller version. Oh, it's gone big as well. Let's make it a bit smaller. Okay, so this is on the BBC website. Let me read the whole thing then. So, weekly quiz. How did this man accidentally turn himself blue? And we see he's got a really blue hand. So it's today's date, no, yesterday's date, I should say. This week, a deadly outbreak of meningitis hit schools and universities in the southeast of England. Fuel prices soared as the Iran war continued, and War of the Worlds cleaned up at the Razzies. So these are the sort of the headlines in the news at the moment, these three sort of links here. And the Razzies is an award sort of thing, a bit like the Oscars, but different. And that was War of the Worlds. The next line says, and I think this is the start of the question here is it? So, but how much attention did you pay to what else happened in the world over the past 7 days? Now, this quiz was brought together by Ben Fell. So thank you very much, Ben Fell. Let's scroll on so we can see the photo. So this guy's got a really blue hand and looks like he was giving himself oxygen or something. Well, more air, I guess, perhaps. So let's scroll down to the questions. So we have to select one, and it's your choice, Rustland, about which one you check. So a man from England's Midlands made headlines when he was rushed to hospital after his skin turned blue. What did medics find was the explanation for his unusual hue? So we've just said about hue. So hue is another way of saying colour. You could sort of put colour
Okay.
in there, really. And we think they probably used the word hue because it rhymes with blue. So blue hue. Maybe it doesn't, I don't know. So why do you think he was blue then, Ruslan? So that's the photo, and that's the guy having a little bit of extra air. So which one do you think it is? The top one, where it says
Okay.
dye from a new set of bed linen. So his blue sheets made him blue, his new bed linen, presumably. Or was he eating too many blueberries? Did that make him blue? Or a reaction to a blue bath bomb? You have to pick. It's over to you. Maybe I'll do the next one. I don't know really.
Uh, yeah, I think yeah, eating too much blueberries is it no
Hmm.
100%.
Oh, right. I see.
Probably answer is
Hmm.
uh, die from a new set of bed line
So linen. So bed
linen
linen.
bed linen.
Yeah, linen. That's right. So that's your go. That's your pick, is it?
Yeah, my
So
answer
not the
is yeah.
bath bomb. Yeah. So if we look at the photo, it does seem a bit weird. So his thumb looks, at least this side of the thumb looks reasonably normal, doesn't it? And between his fingers, it look reasonably normal. And
Yeah,
it's really blue just there, isn't it? So it's hard to see how it could be anything like what he was eating. If he was picking blueberries in the field, it'd be just his fingertips, wouldn't it, or something, but not up his arm, unless he was rolling in it. And why would he need like extra air or something, or oxygen or whatever? It doesn't. It's a bit weird, isn't it? So you think it's bed linen?
yeah.
So let's click on it and see what happens. So, 70 cent. Oh, was it right or wrong? So correct. Well done. Color me impressed. So yes, it was the bed linen. So linen, we often say when it's bedclothes, we can call them bed linen. So it's just the material, the cloth that you're making your bed out of. So each of the sheets you can call linen, but you wouldn't call a blanket or the the other parts of it linen. You call perhaps
Okay.
the the cover for the pillow and the sheet, you call that linen, but you wouldn't call the blankets linen. So then it also says Tommy Lynch from Derbyshire rushed to hospital after waking from a long sleep in the new set of navy sheets, which he had been given by a friend, he had been given by a friend. Then it says, the nurse went to take my blood, and as soon as she wiped my arm, the, the wipe went blue. Then it clicked, he told the BBC. I was mortified, but they said that I was mortified, but they said I'd given them a good laugh. They don't usually have funny stories in A&E. Lynch said, adding that it had taken several days of baths to get rid of the dye. Okay. So any words there that were a bit you hadn't seen before or you want to practice a little bit? Rustling at all or anything?
Yeah. How about I was mortified?
Yeah. So mortified is a feeling that you have. Sometimes it's not exactly anxiety, but it's the feeling if as if it's of extreme embarrassment, great embarrassment. So
Mm,
it's a little bit like a feeling of you wanted to die. I felt so bad about something I said or did that you felt like dying. That's sort of the same meaning. Does that make sense a little bit? So
yeah, but
yeah.
he felt this feeling after his request to hospital, yeah, because then he realized that it
Mm.
is not actually some disease, it is just a Lincoln, yeah,
The link.
a link, yeah,
Oh, ink.
ink.
The word they used was dye, wasn't it? Down the bottom is dye. D-Y-E. That's dye. So that's the color they have added to the material. Perhaps the material was white, the linen or the cloth, the bed sheets might be, let's say they were white to start with. And then the manufacturer or wherever they made the cloth, they added dye, a blue dye to make it blue, and the dye didn't stay on the cloth. It got stuck on him when he used it. So that's the word
Okay.
dye. Sometimes you say the word dye, perhaps if you a lady when she's trying to change her hair color, perhaps she wants to be blonde, she might go to the shop and get blonde hair dye.
Mhm. Okay.
So there's a few times you use the word dye, but it's sort of a colorant. It's a colorant. It changes the color of something. So you might go to the shop and buy blue food dye as well. So perhaps you want to make a cake and you want it like a nice blue color because it's perhaps it's from your country or something, blue and yellow maybe. So that'd be food dye. So just a colorant really.
Yeah.
Colorant is the other word. Any other words there? So yeah. When it says navy, what does that mean to you? Navy
Yeah, I know Navy. It is like a military
mm,
award, yeah, and it is connected with uh, uh, sh- sea ships. Yeah,
yeah,
it is
that's it. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yes. But what color is the sea, would you say? What color is the
blue.
sea?
Yeah, it is. It is.
So it's blue. So and the problem, the issue they've had is blue colorant. So another way of talking about the color blue, especially when it's quite dark, you can talk about blue as being navy. Yeah, does that make
Um,
sense? So you see
yes.
these in this photograph, see those blue sheets, these shoots
Mm,
here, they're really quite dark. It's a dark blue. You probably could call that navy blue, you would say. So you might go to the shops, oh, I want a navy blue pair of trousers. And so you're just saying that's a reasonably dark shade of blue, in other words. Navy blue. It's a shade of blue, basically.
Mhm. Okay, maybe,
Just
yeah.
as you might say red, there's, um, you could say blood red. It's a
Ah, yeah,
particular color
okay,
of blood.
okay.
Or you might say sky blue. So if you said sky blue, that might be a much lighter blue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
much lighter, yeah.
very often with blue, people do say navy blue. I've got a navy blue jumper. It's a bit, I would say it's a little bit darker than that, but yeah, but it says a certain amount of variety in the color, really. Um, so when it says A&E, do you know what A&E is? Do you know what A&E stands for?
No,
You don't know. So if you say I'm going to A&E, you're sort of basically saying you're going to hospital. You're going to hospital. But in particular, it sounds like you've probably had an accident and you've just cut your hand or you've broken your leg because you fell off of something, maybe. That's an accident, in other words. And the A&E stands for accident and emergency.
uh,
A&E stands for accident and emergency. That's what we say in the UK. Um, and I think in America, I think they talk about ER. Do you know what ER stands for in America?
yeah,
Yeah, so in America they say ER. I'm going to ER. What does it stand for in America? That's
yeah,
another word for hospital in a way.
yeah, I say, yeah, I guess it is first one is emergency,
Yeah.
emergency,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, but how about the next letter?
I tell you what, I'll leave you to investigate that one. But it's
Uh,
basically the same thing as A&E in Britain. So in America, they talk about ER. Okay, I'll give it to you. So they normally talk about the emergency room. Emergency room.
really? Emergency room? Okay.
Yeah. So a special room where emergencies go to, and there's a nurse or a doctor there looking at you. So that's what they talk about in America. It may not be exactly the same, but at least it's similar. So there'll be medical programs or documentaries, ER, emergent, not emergency, but ER, behind the ER, what goes on in ER, these sorts of documentaries or exciting programs. And in Britain, there are other equally exciting programs called ER, a night in ER or a day in ER. See the nurses saving people's lives, that sort of thing. And how about this place? So, any idea where that place is or what it is? Are you okay pronouncing that name? I haven't said that, so.
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Debushire.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually. Yes. So, so that's a city in that particular area. So if you send that city there, just highlight a city in blue. So can you pronounce the city name? You're pretty close.
Deb, no, Derby.
Although it's an E, we sort of pronounce it as if it was an A, in my mind anyway. So we sort of say Derby. That's pronounced as Derby. Derby.
Derbyshire. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. So let's just do the town. So Derby is in Derbyshire. Is in Derbyshire. So so you just do the town itself or the city really. So Derby. Just say Derby.
Derby.
Yeah, Derby. So in my mind, I tend to think as if that's an A. That's really the way it sort of gets pronounced. So we say Derby, and then we say Derbyshire. So and
Oh,
shire, we're saying shire for this last bit, but really that isn't really how you would spell shire if you're going to spell it. So if I was going to pronounce this word it just as it's written, it's more like shire, isn't it? Really, shire, something like that. So
yeah.
really. once again, it's a place name and it's quite a way different from how you might think it was pronounced. So the place name's always a little tricky, as we were saying earlier on. So we say Derbyshire, Derbyshire. I'll give it a go.
Derbyshire.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, pretty much there. Um, and a lot of so this is because it says this shire bit on the end. That means it's a county. So it's a region, an oblast sort of thing. Um, and not all of these not all counties. I think, but roughly about half of them end in shire, but the other half don't end in shire. So if it does have shire on the end of it, it is a county, a large area, a large sort of region of the country. Um, but all of them are pronounced with this sure sort of an ending. Although it looks like shire, everywhere you see that on the end of a name, it's always pronounced sure. Derbyshire, Colchester, Colchester, Colchestershire, Lincolnshire. Let's say Lincolnshire. That's a better one. Colchestershire. Just made that one up. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah,
Well, let's go to the next question anyway. So next, we'll click on that one there. So I've got to answer this one, but I read out the last one. So you need to read this one. Let me just close that window there because I think it's making this one too big, I think. So, do you fancy reading this one out to me this time? That's the photo that goes with it. So could you read that to me?
yeah,
So,
okay. Uh, Political thriller, one battle after another, dominated the Oscars, scoring six wins, including Best Picture. This year saw a number of notable firsts for the awards, but which of these was not among them?
hmm, got no idea. So
Mhm.
let me read that back again. So, political thriller, one battle after another, dominated the Oscars, scoring six wins, including Best Picture. Picture. So that's in capital. So that bit there is the name of a film that was at the Oscars. Then it says this year saw a number of notable firsts for the awards, but which of these was not among them? So I really heavily said not because they've got it red and in capitals.
Uh, Now we need to read the uh,
Yeah,
hypothetical answer. Yeah?
yeah. Over to you.
First ever Oscar for Best Casting, first first tied category, first first woman to win Best Cinematographer.
Hmm. What do you
Difficult to
think? Because it's complete
answer.
guesswork for me.
Mhm. Yeah, one second, please.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But just scroll up
Okay,
to the
let it
photo.
be.
Is that a
Um,
clue? There are a lot of ladies there. One, two, three, four, five. It's equal number of men and women. The ladies are generally younger than the men, aren't they? Looking at that. What do you think? I have absolutely no idea. No idea.
Me too as well. We need to do it randomly. Yeah.
I think first tie. Let's get it. I don't know. Yeah, that's
Okay.
random. Last question, it was the top one. Let's guess it's the second one this time. Well, most people went for that one. Oh, correct. Oh, well, great. Okay. So your random idea was brilliant. So shall I read this bit then, or do you want to read this bit?
Yeah, it is up to you. Yeah.
Can't read it. So there's a man and a woman here, and they've both got Oscars in their hands. So maybe they must have won each one, I guess. And I don't recognize either, which is sad, isn't it? So, as the Oscar, as the Oscar goes to you this year, this year's tie for best live action short, awarded to both the singers and two people exchanging saliva, I should say, was not the first. Okay, this is confusing. The last tie came in 2013 when Skyfall and Zero Dark 30 shared Best Sound Editing. So it's two people coming in exactly the same score, isn't it? But they're saying it's not the first time it's happened, it's the second time, I think. Then it says Autumn, I don't know how to pronounce either of these names here. Durald Arkapour became the first female winner of Best Cinematography for her work on Sinners, while Cassandra Kulu Kundis, strange name, isn't it, became the first winner in the new Best Casting category for One Battle After Another. Other winners include Sinners star Michael B. Jordan, who beat Timothy Clamet, I don't know how to pronounce that name, to the Best Actor award. The Hamnet star Julie Buckley, who became the first Irish woman to win Best Actress. That was quite tricky, all the names. I didn't really fully understand what they were saying here. But I think just saying it's not the first tie. There have been a tie before. Any words there you want to go back over again?
Bit confused. For
It is
example,
confusing, yeah.
Tony, when it's tell us the last tire game, the last tire game in 2013. Yeah, how we can understand tire? It is like for the
Mm.
costume. Yeah, and what else does it mean?
So you mean this man might be wearing a tie on his
Yeah,
jacket?
is it tie? Yeah.
Okay, no. It's the same spelling, but here they're using it in the sense where they're adding up votes. And two people have got exactly, or two things, or films probably I should say, or or awards have got exactly the same number of votes. Perhaps they got 200 votes each. They both had exactly 200 votes.
It is like
So
in
the winner
competition.
gets the most. That's right. Yes, like a competition. That's it.
Mm.
So if you're both running two people are running a race and you both of you cross the line at exactly the same time, you call that a tie. A, t- a
Okay.
tie, and that's the
Tie.
spelling. And if you win, so that here it's a vote. That I think I believe they have a vote who wins. All the members of the Oscars have a vote. They send in their votes. They add them up. And this is an occasion where they came to exactly the same number. It doesn't say what the number is. I just guessed 200, but it could be 10 for all I know. I think there's
Mm.
thousands of members, so it's lots of members.
Yeah, and what I understand, what happened
Yeah.
next, it is Dural, yeah, Dural archipel.
I've never seen these names before. Yeah, so it's a lady's names. I'm kind of
Yeah,
half guessing that might be her, but it might not be.
yeah, she became the winner. Yeah.
So I guess her name is Autumn. I thought at first when I first read it, I thought it was in the autumn. So that must be her middle name, and that must be her surname. So let's just quickly search that. So yeah, here we go. So or I won't say the whole name again. I'll just say Autumn. So Autumn made history by becoming the first woman and first woman of color to win the Oscar for Best Cinematographer for Sinners. But it says for color, so or of color, I should say. So that can't be her, can it? Was there a photo of her there really? That must be her there, I think, and that's clearly not the same lady as in the other in the photo we were looking at. It's clearly somebody else then. So I don't know who that is. So there was Cassandra. So maybe Cassandra. Cassandra's a lady's name, we should say. Kulu Kundis. Ever heard of these actress as an actress? I don't know. Oh no, she's cinematographer. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but actually,
Hmm.
yeah, one of this woman won the
One of
Oscar,
these
and
women. So one of these women, yeah,
one of these women,
these.
yeah, one of these women won the Oscar, and it says that another won as well, but from different category of Oscar or what? One
Mm.
of them of cinematography, a second one of one the but of casting, yeah, best casting,
This paragraph here we're talking about, is it?
yeah.
What's wrong with this one? Let me read it again, but I'll miss out the complicated names, and I'll just say the first name. So I'll say Autumn here at the beginning, and I'll say just say Cassandra to miss out the awkward bit. So Autumn became the first female winner of Best Cinematography for her work on Sinners, while Cassandra became the first winner in the new Best Casting category for One Battle After Another. So Autumn
Yeah.
won Best Cinematographer or Best Cinematography in a film, while Cassandra won Best Casting. Yeah, Best Casting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, okay.
And they've put other details in. Oh, first winner in the new category, but that's the basics of it, I think, really.
Yeah,
So when
it
it says
made
casting, what does that mean to you, casting?
casting. Yeah, it is normally I understand it when ladies, yeah,
Hmm.
wear the the modern clothes. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's
Clothes.
look like a competition. Yeah, they just walk on a stage, and
Hmm.
people decide who is the best of them.
Oh, right. Okay. Hmm. Yes, that's sort of the thing, isn't it? I don't know if it's a film and we're talking about they might win an Oscar, or they for casting, they would almost certainly they would have all the people they thought were suitable lined up or come in over a few hours, and I'm sure they would have had them do some acting. I don't think they would just walk along. So casting is where you're seeing who is the best person for a particular role in a film, perhaps you want to see if they can act a certain way. Perhaps they've got to be violent, or perhaps they've got to show lots of love in the film, or they want to have a variety of different um, emotions they have to show when they're acting. And in casting, you're trying to see who is the best fit for the role that you want in your film when you're obviously a
Yeah,
director or whatever it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
I don't think it'd be just walking along. I mean, if it was,
mm,
yeah, I'm sure they would have them walking, but that's
mm.
one aspect of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, Tony, I mixed it with a fashion,
Yeah, I wondered if it
fashion.
was that. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but casting, yeah, as you said, it is who
yeah,
is the best for some role. Yeah,
yes, yeah, yeah, that's it. Yes, but it's amazing to hand out an Oscar for best casting. It
Mm.
seems a bit. It seems really a bit of an odd Oscar to give out, really.
Probably Oscar comes with some money as well, I think, yeah.
I really don't know. It's a good point, really. But just winning an Oscar, say you even touched an Oscar, is an amazing thing, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I think it's more that it's really about the honor that your colleagues in the industry are giving you in the film industry. They're recognizing that you've done a good job.
Mm, yeah, probably it it made
Money,
your
money's
reputation.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So you get another, you get more work as a result to say that you've won an Oscar. But yeah, so some people like your work. So let's scroll on then to the next one. So next question. Wow. So this is a walk. I didn't know this was going to come up. So we've read that bit before. So we've done some walks, haven't we? So
Some
and
indicator, yeah.
sometimes say again.
Indicator, it is some indicator.
Yeah, I think yeah. I think I'll probably just say a sign. Really, this is
Mm.
quite a small sign in a way. It's only about roughly the size of half of your hand, sort of thing. 4 or 5 fingers wide. I could put my hand over that and cover it up if it was in front of me. So anyway, so it says the question is, you read the last one, I'll read this one then. So we've got to select one of these. A new footpath stretching around the entire coast of England was officially inaugurated by King Charles, claimed to be the longest coastal walking route in the world. How long is it? So it's sort of saying how long is the coast of England, I suppose you could say, sort of. So roughly speaking, 1,500 miles, just under 2,000 miles, or just over 2,500 miles. That's how I would say it. But if I was reading it in detail, I'd say 1,689 miles, or was it 1,968 miles, or is it 2,689 miles? So you've got to pick one of those. So how long is the coast of England, really?
Difficult to say. I think
Got to
if
guess it,
it
really. Yeah.
the longest coastal walk route, it is probably the biggest number of them. I suppose it should be like this.
Yeah.
But
So,
actually, for example, if we have a look at
mm,
1,689 miles, it is quite long distance, isn't
mm.
it?
They're all quite long. They're all huge.
Yeah, probably
And the
no,
other
no.
thing is that they're saying England. So it doesn't include Wales, presumably, and it doesn't include Scotland. So I don't quite
Um,
know how you can walk around. I don't quite understand how you can walk around England. Um, so are you missing out Wales? I don't understand really. I can't quite see how you can walk around England and miss out Wales or Scotland or something. So it's just like the kind of like just the lower half almost, or 2/3 maybe of the United Kingdom. So it's a bit weird.
and what is your opinion about it? Which answer the best suit for your thoughts?
I think the 2,000 is too long.
Yeah.
It's one of the other ones, I think. One and a half
Yeah,
thousand.
probably, yeah, I have changed my mind, and
Yeah.
I would say that I will choose this 1,689 miles.
Okay, yeah, I think you're probably right. Really. Let's go for that one then. I've clicked on it. We were wrong. I was wrong, or you were really, really wrong. No, it's the longer one. Lost Your Way. It's 2,689 miles. The King Charles III England coast path allows walkers to explore England's complete coastline, that doesn't make any sense, step by step for the first time. The project was initiated during Gordon Brown's government and has taken 18 years and seven prime ministers to get to this stage. So it's taking years and years to do this. Much of the new coastal route already existed, but more than 1,000 miles of new paths have been created, and many other sections upgraded. That's interesting. So it's 2,000. So I'm struggling to work out how you walk the whole of England's coast with missing out Wales. I just can't quite understand that. It seems like almost an impossibility, really. I'd love to see the route.
You mean is that it is not possible to pass this distance?
Well, it's a bit like saying it's different. We're going to walk the entire coastland, the coast of America. Well, there's the East Coast and the West Coast. How do you get from one side to the other? They're not really, they don't exactly touch. They don't touch, do they? There's a distance between them, so I don't quite understand how you get do that. Yeah, that doesn't matter really. I mean, it's just I don't understand what they're saying really. It's me being silly probably. So let's go on to the next one then. Okay, so I did the last one, so this is your one then. Over to you.
Uh, Francis man chilled chi- clean, clean,
Yeah.
yeah, Francis man clinched Rugby Union's Six Nations titled after a last gasp win over England in a thrilling match in Paris. Who scored the points that secured the crown for the
Hmm.
hosts?
Yes, hosts. That's it. Yes, hosts.
Hosts.
Hmm.
Okay. I need to read it
Yeah.
again to understand it normally.
So let me read it though. Let me
Yeah.
read with my so 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 it says France's, that's the country. So
Yeah.
France's men clinched Rugby Union's Six Nations title. So it's the men's game. Have
Yeah.
you and the game is rugby. Have you heard of rugby? Have you seen it on
Yeah. I
television?
heard.
And it's clinched. When it says clinch, what do they mean by clinched? Any idea?
Lynch. It is like punk. Uh,
Hu-
punk.
Sort of a hug. I was saying
Hug. Yeah.
hug.
Hug. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have a clinch, it's sort of a hug. But clinch is sometimes used, say, in a boxing match. You can say, "Oh, the two fighters are in a clinch." Um, but here they're using it to say that they grabbed the winning position. That's what it may say. In this sense, they mean they grabbed the winning title or the winning position to clinch something.
Okay.
That's what they mean here. If I clinch a prize, it means I won the prize, I should say, clinched. Let's actually just put that in the dictionary because it's an interesting, odd word in a way, isn't it? So Tottenham. So not Tottenham, but Tottenham. So they're taking the ed off the end of it. Let's put it back on again. So clinched.
clinched,
Yeah. So if you clinch something, you are trying to achieve. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Clinch, such as a business deal or victory in a contest. In a contest, you succeed in obtaining it.
You
So there's a football
succeed, yeah.
match, vital, first division title when they beat Hamilton. Oh, sorry, I missed out the title. And so there's a few different ways of using it. The thing that clinches an uncertain matter, settles it, or provides a definite answer. So you might say, oh, what clinched it for me was when I found out that Tesco's is cheaper than some other supermarket. So it something proves something to you. If something happens and it proves something to you, so oh, that clinched it for me, you might say, or proved it for me, or determined, or decided. So you can, it's a way of saying you've won something, or a way of saying something has been decided. Strange, isn't it? So
Yeah.
both are verbs, so it's a bit annoying that, and it also comes down as a noun as well. So if two people who love each other are in a clinch, they are holding each other tightly. So that's what you said, isn't it? So if you're hugging someone, you
Yeah.
said hug. So that's
Uh,
as a noun, it's a hug or a cuddle or an embrace. But definitely it could be a boxing match as well. The two fighters are in a clinch. You definitely hear that sometimes. Sometimes two boxers
uh,
do that, don't they? But when they're tired, they grab each other. It's a way of having a rest and stopping the other one from punching you, isn't it? A boxing match. So, but so this is sort of a deciding the football match, you might say, or they've just won the football match, or rugby match, I should say. So France's men clinched rugby's rugby unions. So the proper name of the game is rugby union. So there's two types of rugby. There's rugby. I forgot what the other one is. So rugby union and rugby. I forgot what the other one is. So there's two types of rugby, and this is one of them. And this particular championship is the Six Nations. It's called the Six Nations. So the six countries that are fighting. So England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, France, and I think Italy. I think those nations are fighting each other or playing the game, playing rugby to win. But I might be wrong about that. I don't know the exact countries. And then it says after a last gasp win. So it says after a last gasp. What does the last gasp mean to you, do you think,
yeah,
Ruslan?
I understand last, but in gasp,
Hmm.
uh, I don't know. Gasp.
So this is those two words together, a little bit of I was going to say an idiom, but more of a saying, really, I would say. And it's saying. So you will often see these two words together in this sort of a context or elsewhere, really.
It's
So
like
mm,
chance, yeah, we can say.
yeah, that's sort of like that. But really, it's just really the word last gasp. It's just emphasizing it's the last moments or the absolute last chance of winning. It was
Last
as late as
moment, yeah.
possible, at the last moment almost, or the last possible chance. So it
Uh,
might have been in the last 10 minutes they won the game. Or it might have been if there was like 20 rounds, it was in the very last round that they won, say in a
yeah.
boxing match. So in
Okay.
the last gasp battle, or last gasp win, I should say, that kind of a thing. So in the very last moments, or something at the very end somehow. So you didn't win at the beginning or in the middle, they won at the very last moment, pretty much. So over England in a thrilling match. So thrilling obviously just means exciting. A match is another way of saying the contest they had, and obviously Paris is a place in France, the capital of France, I should say. Of course, in English we say Paris, but in France they say Paris, don't they? So they say it slightly different to us. So it's tricky. So you may occasionally see a British person say Paris, Paris, or Paris, something like that. Anyway, okay. So then it says who scored the points. So obviously that's the points, the way how you add up who's winning in the rugby union, that secured the crown for the hosts. So any words there that don't make any sense that
Uh,
we've looked
Ones that secured, secured, yeah, I understand.
at?
Secures the crown
Mm.
or the horse. The crown, for example, train was very crowded. Yeah.
Okay, that's really two different words, really. So you said
Group of people, no? It is,
crowd, that's a D on the end, but our word is crown. So these are two different words. So a crowd of people, maybe 1,000 people or 100 people might be a crowd, especially if they're into one place. But a crown is something a king or queen wears on their head.
uh, yeah,
That's
okay.
crown. Crown.
Crown.
You might also say crown is the top of everyone's head. You can describe it as the crown. So it's a way of the back of your head is obviously the back, and the side of your head might be the temples of your head, but the top of your head is your crown. Does that make sense? Everyone's got
Yeah.
a forehead, so it's a way of describing part of your head as well. Um, but here, they're thinking of it as in the sense of when you win something, it's almost as if you get a crown. A king gets a crown when he wins a country, you might
Yeah.
say.
It is
But here, if you win yeah,
like a present, like a reward, yeah,
that's
for
it. Yeah,
this.
that's it. Yeah, that's it. When you win a championship, you get a crown. I mean, they don't. I don't think they really do get a crown, but they to wear on their heads. Maybe one of them does. I don't know. But so it's just talking about of winning something. When you win something, you say you've got the crown for that thing. And what about hosts? What does it mean by the hosts?
But
Who are the hosts? Who might they
yeah,
be?
yeah. Actually, I wonder why the hosts not host.
Hmm.
Hmm. Host. It is means, for example, I am a host of my house. Yeah, it is like I am owner
Um,
of something.
yeah, yeah, sort of
Or
an
for
honor or
example,
responsibility, more responsibility and an honor, I suppose.
yeah,
But
or
look,
for
look, mm,
yeah,
yeah,
on for example, in our meeting, you are host. Yeah.
yeah, they do use that word host. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Um, so with the word host, if you have a party, often gets used often in these kinds of ways. So if you have a party and you are organizing it, perhaps it's you and your wife or girlfriend are organizing it, you can say that you are the hosts. That's one way of using it. Oh, we're the hosts of the party, sort of thing.
Ah,
So
we
you're
are host.
organizing that sort of thing. Um, or some other of similar event, you might be the hosts if you're organizing it, and perhaps you paid for it, or you've invited the people along to the party or something. In this sense here, it's the people or the country, I suppose, who are organizing the rugby match. So this is the country or the city that is organizing or paying for the rugby match to be held there. So obviously there's a stadium and they've got to get the police and whatever, haven't they? There's a lot of expenses.
Uh,
So but you can say that there's a host to every game that is played in the stadium. Who are the hosts, you could say. Here, I guess I've not quite understood this exactly. Because it's in Paris, well, it must be that the French are the hosts. So you would probably say here the French are the hosts, the French people, effectively.
yeah,
So
logically, yeah,
you,
it's
so it might be,
correct.
yeah, yeah, so really when it says the host, it means, oh, that's the French. So who scored the points that secured the crown or the win for the French is what you have another way of reading that. So in other words, the name down here is probably going to be a French name, but then again, um, I think Theo is a French name. Louis is definitely a French name.
It is
Thomas
not
doesn't seem
Louis,
very French. Yeah. So
not
say again.
Louis, not
Sorry?
Louis. About middle name, it is not Louis.
So there's a it's a bit it's one of these weird things with this name. So if it's being a French person, it has to be Louis. Louis. The French always pronounce this name Louis. But and how do I say this? So sometimes the English will say this name as Louis, as Louis. Sometimes they will say this name as Louis, and sometimes they will say it as as Louis, the French way. So we have an English way of saying it, and sometimes we say it the French way. But but in English we also have another spelling for that name. So is that the
Spelling.
spelling? Oh my God, my spelling's laughable, isn't it? So that's the way the English can spell the French name Louis. So you both of the so the last one is Louis, I would say Louis. You might even put an e on the end of that. That's Louise there. But this name, way this is named written, that's definitely Lewis, with it's in blue here. But this one here, the English could pronounce that as Louis or Lewis. So it depends on where you are. It depends on if you know it's a French person, well, it's got to be Louis. Louis. It's a bit confusing, and I'm not sure how many English people would pronounce that as Lewis, but it's a bit of variation there. Just an added confusion. Let's put it that way. Added confusion. Sorry, but I hope that makes a bit more sense anyway. So there is a bit of weirdness there. So do you have a friend who's called Lewis or Louis?
But I heard this name in a films quite
In a film?
often. Yeah,
Mm,
quite often. Yeah, I
yeah.
heard this name in a film.
Mm.
Louis.
As Lewis, did you say? Lewis.
Yeah, Louis.
Yeah, you can pronounce it that way. Yeah. So yeah, but being that we know it's in France and in Paris,
Yeah.
then I'm just saying it the French way. I'm being sort of polite. Trying to be polite anyway. Probably failing. So it's Louis, I would say Louis. Um,
Louis. Louis. Yeah, Louis.
if it had an e on the end, I think it'd be Louise. But there's no
Uh,
e on the end, so it's Lewis. I'm getting it wrong myself now. Louis. So Lou and we. Louis. Louis.
how about the last one of the name? I would read it like a Thomas Ramos. Ramos.
Ramos. Something like that. Yes, I think you're probably about right. Yes. Again, I don't know how the French would say Thomas.
Mhm.
I know in Europe it's Thomas a little bit. The H dies a little bit. So I'm guessing Thomas, but I don't know really. I'm just guessing. I don't know. And I don't know how to pronounce these surnames at all. I'm just guessing. I just don't know.
Mhm.
So so it's either
Right.
Theo, Louis, or Thomas.
Yeah, quite difficult.
Yeah. It's just guesswork here. Unless we search the names, I guess. That'd be cheating a bit though. Do you want to pick one then?
Uh, okay, let's Thomas.
Thomas.
Thomas, yeah,
Thomas.
let's Thomas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
because I don't know any one of them.
Okay. No, same here. So I was so as an English name, I would say that as Thomas. Thomas.
Thomas.
And I know it's TH, and normally it was most sort of THs are th.
Yeah.
But this is one of those occasions when it just isn't. So we just pronounce that as Thomas.
Yeah, actually, I had a manager at my
Hmm.
last work, Thomas. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so let's click on it then. Oh, most people went for this one. And we're correct. So I guess it's this guy here, I suppose. So, do you want to read this one here? I think you've read.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, you
Up
go.
and under.
Hmm.
Up and under, yes, it was fullback Thomas Ramson. With time running out, the Toulouse men made a long range uh, penalty kick to clinch the win 84-86. As the French celebrated their third six national triumph in the past 5 years, England and England had to come to terms with their worst ever six national campaign, registering registering just one win from 5 matches.
Sounds like England did terrible there. Yes. Okay. So, any words there you want to go back over again? It's
For
tricky.
example, Tony, how would you replace up and under?
Ah, okay. So, up and under. This is a phrase which is particularly comes from rugby. It's a term that comes from the game itself.
For example,
So
I
you can
would,
really
I would, I wouldn't use it in my daily speech, yeah, or
um no, most people wouldn't. Most people
okay.
wouldn't. There might be the odd circumstance where you could, if you're talking about sport and you're using that
Ah,
sporting idea at work, you might do then. But I mean, it's quite unusual. So it's a particular thing in that particular game. Because it's
okay.
like as in golfing, you have a swing in the golf because you're using the club to swing. Every game has its own sort of technical sort of words, don't they? Bits of jargon in for every game.
And probably
Mm.
fullback, it is as well about the game, yeah.
Yes. So, but the fullback is in this game, rugby. It's also in football as well. Fullback. So it's a
Okay.
particular position that one or two of the players have. So you might have a striker, the person saying football that scores the goals. Supposedly it's the front and they score the goals. Then you have a goalkeeper and they stop the ball trying to go in. They try to stop the ball going into the goal. And the fullback is in defence. They're in the position to support the goalkeeper, you might say. So it's a position on the football field or on the rugby field, a position that the
Okay,
people
and
play.
he is actually was in this game like a fullback, yeah.
Yeah. So
Fullback.
as a defender in this game, he seems to have won,
Yeah.
which is he did a kick, I think, wasn't it? You think he said, so that's fantastic, really. Any other words that I think your pronunciation was of Toulouse was very good. I like that Toulouse. That's how we say that, Toulouse. Any other words there you want to go back over again?
Uh, France celebrates. Mm, how about, did I say correct campaign?
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. Yeah, your campaign was quite clear, I thought. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's it, campaign.
How
Yes.
about registering, yeah?
Pretty much, pretty close. So let's do a little bit then. So if we forget about the ing for a moment, just lose that for a moment. Let's just do the first bit. So 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 register. Yeah,
Yeah, register.
yeah, that's it. So and this then just ing stuck on the end. So
Uh,
registering.
registering.
Yeah. I would say you're overdoing the R a little bit, but yeah, you'll get it in time. Yeah. So registering.
Mm.
registering. So it's hardly there at all, I would say. But some people do it slightly stronger than others. But yeah, that's okay. That's okay. The only this thing that strikes me, I think, when I think about it now, was maybe that word there.
Uh,
So what does that word mean? Do you know what it
it's
means?
triumph. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, sort
triumph.
of.
It is like a big win. Yeah, like a
Yeah, that's a
big
big win. You
reward.
could say that. That's it. It's like an important
Yeah,
win. That's it. Yeah, that's it. But let's just do the word though. So it's try. It's got the TRI at the front. So we say
yeah.
try,
Ah,
and the last bit, if you look at it, it's a bit weird. So it's and the PH is just an F sound really. So try um try. So it's basically triumph. Triumph.
oh,
Does that make
tri
sense?
triumph, triumph. Yeah.
It didn't. Are you on your phone? I can't quite hear you
No,
actually.
no, I'm
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Let me say it again. Triumph.
yeah, that sounds like it. Yeah, that's pretty close. So let's listen to this on the dictionary. Let's let them say it.
triumph,
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you try it again?
triumph.
Oh, yeah, that's the best one. That's the best one so far. We'll listen to it once more, then I'll say it, then it's your go. So they'll say it.
triumph,
Triumph. Your go.
Triumph.
Yeah, I think you've got it. Yeah. I can't quite hear the end. I missed the
Mm,
ending when you
okay.
said it. All I heard was triumph. That's all I heard.
Ah,
But
okay.
but maybe you're saying it and I'm just not hearing it. So triumph. But it's like an F sound on the end. Let's listen to them again
triumph,
at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm making fun of it now, but so
Mm.
I'm sure you remember it. So it's definitely an F
Oh,
sound on the end. Doesn't
triumph.
have to be too strong. But, so we'll leave that one then. So let me just read the whole thing back again.
Yeah,
Okay, and maybe it make a bit more sense the second time reading it through. Okay, so up and under. So that's this thing that happens just in really rugby, really. So up and under. Yes, it was fullback Thomas Ramos with time running out. So it was near the very end of the game. Time had
yeah.
almost finished. The Toulouse man made a long range penalty kick to clinch the win 48-46. I think you said 84 actually when you came there. Um, as France celebrated their third Six Nations triumph in the past 5 years. England had to come to terms with their worst ever Nations campaign, registering just one win from 5 matches. There we go. So England had a bit of a
Just only
disaster.
one win.
Yeah, just the one win. Yeah, a bit of a disaster for England there. Hmm. Okay, let's scroll. We've sort of run out of time, really. So we've had
Yeah.
about an hour. Could we just one more, maybe?
Yeah, okay. If you don't
So,
mind, we can.
okay. So, maybe it's the news quiz, isn't it? We're doing here. So, thanks very much, Ben Falls. Is very good. So in the photo, you can see lots of people on motorcycles, very small motorcycles. And then it says Sri Lanka, you read the last one, this is my one, isn't it? So Sri Lanka rationed the amount of fuel motorists could buy to conserve supplies as the US and Israel's war with Iran raised fears about shortages. What other measure did the government introduce to save fuel? So any words there that you're not sure the meaning or you want to practice with pronunciation?
Yes, rationed. It is like an
Yeah.
rations.
Yeah.
Let's say
So it's
announced. Yeah,
more
it is like announced. Yeah.
no, no, no,
No.
not really. No. So if we miss off the ed for the moment, oh, beg your pardon, so you can say ration
Oh,
and It used to be, say, when in the Second World War, so 80 years ago, when Britain was in the Second World War and half the world was in the same war, of course, it used to be food. There wasn't enough food, and so everyone was allowed to have a certain amount of butter and a certain amount of meat, and that was a ration. So it was a small portion of food, but everyone had basically the same amount, you might say. So it was a fair ration, you might say, a fair ration. So it's just um, so if you're limited, if you have limited amount of something and you don't have enough of it to give to as much as there isn't enough to go round in the sense that everyone can't buy as much as they want. What you can say is, we're going to give everybody a fair ration. So everyone gets perhaps the same amount. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? So
yeah,
maybe the
it's
same
making.
amount of, let's say 2 liters of fuel, because there
Yeah,
isn't enough for literally everything. But
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
gets 2 liters, let's say.
yeah. It is
And the
quite
same with
fair.
food or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Do,
I
do, do you want,
got
do you
it.
want to say the word though? So ration.
Russian, rationed.
You sound, when you're saying it, sounds a little bit like Russian, as in the country, Russian. But no, no, it's ration, ration. I'm overdoing it
Uh,
slightly there. So ration.
Russian.
It still sounds a little bit like right. So let's go into the dictionary. Have I spelled it wrong? No, I haven't. No. So that's. Oh, I keep spelling it wrong. How do you should
Uh,
spell it? I spelling it wrong. I put an
T.
S in there. It's really a
Yeah,
T,
yeah,
isn't it?
T.
I couldn't think how to spell it. So these are some of the words that go with it. So that's the word ration. Ration a supply. So if you don't have enough of something, you might ration it. But also in the war, people had ration books, and that you hands over a little, you tore out a little bit of the book and you handed it over. That sort of said you were allowed to have some of the food or whatever it was. It could be petrol. But you might have a book or you might have a card.
Okay.
Ration care, I don't know what that is. Ration coupon, and you might ration electricity, ration pack, ration. There we go. So let's look at the word ration, see what it comes up for. So I've said it loads of times now, ration. Do you want to try it again? Ration.
Russian.
You still
Okay.
sound a little bit like saying the country, a little bit. So, let's hear them say it for a second or two.
Russian,
It does sound a little bit like Russian, doesn't it? The way they're saying it.
Yeah,
So, yeah. But
Russian.
so our word is as the ed ending on it. This is our word. So let's do this one then anyway. So
Um,
I would say rationed, rationed. So let's listen to them.
rationed,
Oh, that sounds better. Do you want to try that one? So.
Russian.
Yeah, I think you've got it. That sounded quite good to me. We'll listen to it once more, then I'll say it, then it's your go. So,
rationed,
rationed, your go.
Russian.
Yeah, yeah, it is tricky. Let's just put in Russian, the country Russia.
Yeah. Can you say a Russian and Russia, Russian?
So we'll put an ed on the end of it, you mean? So let's just put Russia, a Russian, as in.
Yeah, I
I'll
like
just put
it.
that in at the moment, see what it comes up as. So, but yeah,
Is it
the vowel, the vowel is completely different sound, but it's quite tricky. It does sound similar. So let's just listen to Russian.
Russian,
Yeah,
Ah,
Russian.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd say there's even emphasis on the U. So she's highlighting the U. When she says it, she's saying it slightly louder, isn't she? So Russian is what she's saying. Russian, Russian. Do you want to just say the Russian the English way?
A Russian, a
Yeah, that
Russian,
sounds pretty good. Yeah, Russian. Yeah, that's
Russian,
right. The country. Let's listen to her again.
Russian,
Yeah, Russian, isn't it? Yeah.
Russian.
Okay, if we go back a page, I've forgotten how to go back a page. Is that one there? Yeah. Oh, here's ration. So and the vowel is completely different. Oh, we still,
Russian,
it is similar, isn't it? I must say it is similar. Yeah, ration. I. Oh, it's just very close, but it does sound different to me anyway. But I will admit it is a much closer than I realise when I think about it. So it's quite tricky that one. But we don't use that word very often. At least not just yet, unless the fuel the war gets worse, of course. So any other words there?
Mm, a conserve, to conserve, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's close. Conserve, conserve.
Conserve. Okay,
Yeah,
conserve. It is like a safe, yeah.
yeah. To
Conserve.
reserve it, to hold it
Reserve.
carefully, to hold
Yeah.
it carefully, sort of thing. So all the fuel doesn't run out. Basically, all the fuel doesn't run out. They're conserving it. It's looking after it. Yeah, looking after it is the best way of saying it. Being careful, looking after it. There we go. Any other
Yeah.
words?
Shortages. We can replace it like a run out, yeah. Lack of, yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. Shortages. You could say it's run out or running out. To me, when I hear the word shortages, it sounds like it hasn't quite finished, but it's
Yeah.
getting towards the end of something. But it could be that it's yeah. Yeah, let's quickly put that in the dictionary. It's interesting when you think about these words. What's the exact meaning? And sometimes I don't really use it in the exact sense. So let's see what they say. So if there is a shortage of something, there is not enough of it. So the implication there is it needs to be
Mm,
rationed. So it's not saying that it's run out necessarily, but there's not enough of it.
not
So
enough.
it may well run out at
Mm,
some point, but it's not necessarily saying it has run out. But I suppose um,
yeah, it is like a lack of, yeah, lack
a
of,
lack of, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it says lack there. Yeah, lack
yeah,
or
yeah.
or deficiency of something. Yeah, we have a deficiency of I don't know metals or something. I don't know. Want of something. You might be
For
in want of
example, is it okay if if I say I'm shortage of money? Uh, yeah, okay. Is it sound
something.
naturally or better to say I'm lack of money, for example?
No, I've never heard people say that. Not generally, not that way. No. I think we just say, "Oh, I don't have enough money." Perhaps I've gone into a
Ah,
shop and it's £10. I've only got £5. Oh, I don't have enough money. That's what I would say.
for example, can I say I a shortage of milk?
No, not really. No. So if you say I have a shortage of milk, it sort of sounds as if you're supplying milk to other people and you're dealing big volumes of milk. Like you
Okay.
have like 1,000 liters of milk. You're dealing in these large volumes when you say a shortage. But if you're at home
Okay.
and it's just you, or maybe you and your partner or your family, you might say, "Oh, we don't have enough milk," or to say there's a shortage of milk just sounds a bit odd.
Mm. But for example, Tony, where would you use this shortage, for example, in your
Okay, so
life?
in my life, well, if we look at these sentences here, these are example sentences using the word shortage. So a shortage of funds is
Mm.
preventing the UN from monitoring relief. So this is about money. So this is about, you heard of the UN, haven't you? The United Nations
Mhm.
Organization. And here it is in talking about them not having enough money. And they're saying funds for money. So it's funny really it's strange how we use different ways of talking about an organization than we would perhaps in a personal situation. So it sounds okay the way they're using it here. Um, yeah, strange, isn't it?
Okay, I will
So
search a bit more about it, yeah, after
sure.
lesson.
Let's just read these other sentences as well. So, the country is suffering from a food shortage. The country is
Okay.
suffering from a food, and it could be anything. It could be a fuel shortage, or I don't know,
Yeah,
aircraft
okay.
shortage or bomb shortage or something.
It's usually we needed a put after noun, yeah?
Um, Food shortage. Yeah, I'm looking. Shortage of, or an object, maybe, I suppose. Yeah. So we're talking about sentence construction here, really, aren't we? So it's simply a noun. It's a noun in itself, they're saying here. Deficiency of, want of, lack of, failure of. Yeah, so it definitely could go after before a noun, I would say. So here we have this one here. So the next sentence is there's a shortage of ideas. So perhaps you're in an office and you're trying to work out a problem and no one could come up with an idea to solve a problem. So here it is,
Yeah.
there's a shortage of ideas. Then it carries on when it comes to improving the education of children.
Yeah, but Tony, there
Yeah.
is no shortage.
Of what?
Yeah, you said
Oh, sorry. Oh,
that.
no. Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I got the sentence the wrong way round. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
positive and negative, isn't it?
yeah.
So
It
that's
is
it's
means
interesting way of saying it.
that they have enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done. So you would never say unshortage. You used to
Yeah,
say no shortage. Yes. Thank you for that. You corrected me there.
yeah.
So deficiency. So yeah, deficiency would fit in that first sentence. There is a deficiency. I said there is a deficiency. There is a deficiency of funds preventing the UN from monitoring relief. The country is suffering a deficiency of no. This, the country is suffering from a deficiency of food. So you go the other way around. Have to say a deficiency of food, but here it's a food shortage. So it's the noun before it there. But when it's deficiency, it's the other way round, I guess you could say. Strange, isn't it? Very tricky.
Yeah,
You could also, you could, especially you could,
I see the level of this was a B2. Is it quite a high level in education system?
I don't think they mean, I forgot what they mean. I don't actually know what they mean by that. So,
I can explain you if you want to.
well, no,
It is
when they say B2 here, they're not talking about the level of English. No, they're not saying
are you
that.
sure,
So
Tony?
if I click on it,
I think it is 99%, yeah,
oh, you think
because
so?
it
Oh,
is
maybe I'm
it
wrong
is
then.
scale it is scale
Oh, yeah.
of English knowledge.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
It
Yeah,
is
so yeah,
started,
it says C2 here. So yeah, you're right then. You're right, I'm wrong. You're right, I'm wrong. Yeah.
yeah, but it is looks like a higher level of this looks like
Mm,
intermediate level, yeah, because A1 it is basic,
yeah, yeah,
A2 it is more better, B1 it is a bit better, and B2 it is like a higher middle of level of English.
yeah,
But
yeah.
C2 it is your level, Tony.
Mm.
You
The trickiest level, let's
yeah,
say.
you are know
Yeah.
everything and you understand
Well,
every content.
I just think I know everything. Or
Yeah,
I pretend I know
it is
everything.
your native language. Yeah,
Yeah,
your
yeah,
professionals use it.
yeah, yeah. So obviously, yeah. So yeah, and here it is on the screen here. So here we go. So A1, A2, B1, B2, etc.
Yeah,
There we
my
go.
level probably A2, I think.
You think so? Can understand sentences and frequently use expressions related to areas of most intermediate relevance, very basic, personal, friend, family information, shopping, local geography, employment. Can communicate in simple and routine tasks. Okay. So whereas B2 was can understand the main ideas of complex texts. Yeah, I can see this is a bit hard. Yeah, complex text
Yeah.
on both concrete and abstract topics. Yes, that is
Mm,
tricky. All languages are a bit tricky, and English is right in there at the top of the hard ones, I think. Partly because there are so many words, I suppose, and there's so many
sure.
variations in how it's used, so many influences on it. So we're talking about this very last question then. And
Yeah.
did I read this? I think I don't know now. So these are the answers. So there's a lack of fuel in Sri Lanka, but
Okay.
what other measures did the government in Sri Lanka, I guess, introduce to save fuel? And it says ban suits in offices to save on air conditioning, give public workers every Wednesday off. That'd be nice. Impose working from home. Which do you think it was? So this is a country, Sri
Yeah.
Lanka.
Let me give public.
Hmm.
No, I don't think that give public works every Wednesday off and
Yes. Hmm.
ban suits in office to save an air. Mm, It is probably that is too hot,
Hmm.
and I think yeah, it can be, it might be, yeah. And last one, impose working from home.
Hmm.
Yeah, but not if everyone need to have some device and no one can allow to do it. Yeah, okay. I will tell ban
Hmm.
suits in office to save. Yeah, ban suits in office to save on air conditioner. This means don't use air conditioner. Yeah.
Um, okay, let me explain. So the suit is to do with clothing, isn't it? Suits
Yeah.
is to do with clothing. They're not banning all clothing. It's suits is the very sort of formal wear that men normally have on. A coat, a jacket, I should say, perhaps a
Yeah.
waistcoat, nice trousers, and a tie. That's a suit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And ban, of course, means stop. Stop it.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore in offices. And when it says, when you come to this last word, it sounds like you're saying conditional. Conditional.
Condition.
Sounds like when I hear you saying it, but it's the two
Uh,
words together normally go together. So it's normally air conditioning. Air conditioning.
air conditioning. Okay.
And you've heard of air conditioning, have you?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
know
Of
what
course.
this is.
What about the word impose? Do you know the word impose?
Impose work from. It is like how would say impose, encourage them work from home, like
Hmm.
remotely. Yeah.
Um, if it was encouraged, that sounds quite gentle, and it's not. But if you force something, if you're forcing it, making it like a legal requirement, you have to do this, then really that's impose. Impose is to sort of force people to do it, or make people to do it, or do it, I should say, or make it illegal, I suppose, or
Yeah.
or not illegal,
Impose.
whichever way.
It is like
It's
have
quite
to. Yeah.
powerful.
You have to do it.
You
Yeah.
have to. That's it. Yeah,
You
people
have.
have to work from home, which sounds quite strong, doesn't it?
Yeah, but how about a ban suits in office to save on air conditioning? Conditioning.
Conditioning.
It means
Conditioning.
what? Don't wear
Well,
to suit or no?
I think they're saying wear simpler clothing in the office, then you will be
Mm,
cooler and you won't have to switch on the air conditioning. Does that make
Ah,
sense? So a suit is a
yeah,
sort of formal jacket.
yeah,
It's a
and
it's lots of extra clothing, you might say.
extra
So
clothing.
just
Okay.
wear a shirt rather than a jacket. But it's a little bit of interpretation, exactly what they mean, of course. It's not clear exactly what they mean.
Oh,
So don't
mm,
wear a jacket over your shirt, I suppose.
Mm.
But they only give us one option, so I don't know. I'm going to have a silly guess and think it's this one here. If I was going to guess, I think it's the middle one. But what do you think it is?
Okay, I think
But it's a bit of a risk. It's probably wrong. But
I
what do you
think
think?
yeah. Okay, I will tell impose working from home.
Okay, yeah, let's go for that one then. Okay, but I still think it's the middle one. So
Yeah,
Wednesday.
okay,
So
your middle one, my
I've clicked
last
on
one.
that. Oh, most
Oh,
people said Wednesday.
what is it?
So
Oh,
I don't
oh.
know what the answer was now. Um, I missed the
Ah,
answer.
so good.
So perhaps if I just read it out, maybe it's in here. Maybe it says the answer in here. So okay, so we were wrong anyway. So running on empty. That's sort of a phrase you might use if you're running low on fuel. If you're running low on fuel in your car or your motorbike, you might say, "Oh, I'm running on empty here." So your
Okay.
gauge is pointing right towards the E or the empty sign. I'm running on it on the empty light. But you might also say you're very tired. Perhaps you've done a 10-mile walk, and right at the end you really want something to eat. Oh, I'm running on empty here. You might say, or walking, running on empty, or walking on empty, I suppose. Okay, so lots of ways it might be used. Anyway, so running on empty. They declared every Wednesday a holiday for public institutions. This is the latest in a series of belt-tightening measures undertaken by Asian countries since the war choked off the Strait of Hormuz, which used to carry millions of barrels of oil from the Gulf into the region. In Thailand, the government is urging people to swap suits for short-sleeved tees. To reduce relevance reliance on air conditioning, while in Myanmar, private vehicles with even number plates will only be allowed to drive on even dates and odd numbered number plates on odd dates. Does that make sense? It's a bit strange.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, but yeah, I was wrong with my answer.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. It's only a game, isn't it? It doesn't vital. But I'm surprised they picked Wednesday as a holiday.
Yeah,
I'd have
but
thought maybe make it Monday or something, or which is make the weekend a bit longer or something. I
yeah,
don't
but
know.
every Wednesday, Tony, it is
Yeah,
every week, and,
yeah, yeah.
it is whole holiday.
And it is public institution, so it's not everybody. It's just the public ones. So the people who get
Mm.
paid by the government. When you say
Ah,
public
okay,
institutions, it normally means the people who are paid by the government.
but
So tax
but
people.
yeah, but Tony, for example, if
Yeah,
we have holiday, they usually are paid, yeah,
yeah.
but they need pay anyway because you stay at home on Wednesday because it is holiday and they will pay you money, yeah.
It's a lack of fuel, isn't it? So maybe they got them working from home when they're on holiday. I don't know. I don't know. It's possible, yes. Strange,
Okay,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So what do you think, what is belt tightening? It's a bit of a
Belt.
phrase.
I know
Is
belt.
it?
I have in my lorry, yeah, belt.
Hmm. Oh, at the engine compartment, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the
And,
engine.
but if, for example, if I need to pass my belt, or not pass, how would say, before I drive, I need to put belt in a lock, yeah?
Before you drive, you need to do what? So put your belt where?
Belt in a lock.
Your belt in a lock.
Uh, belt.
Oh,
Um,
seat belt. You mean seat belt?
seat belt. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All
seat
right.
belt.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, seat
I
belt.
think most people we normally would say seat belt. I think, unless we were perhaps both of us sitting in a car, we might just say, "Oh, this belt's a bit tight" or something. We might say it that way. But in this general sense, we'd say seat belt if we hadn't. But no, it doesn't say seat belt. So it's and remember, it was mainly we had a photograph of motorcycles, didn't we?
We had
So when we say belt tightening in this sense and in this context, we're really
tight.
talking,
Tight.
yeah.
It is means tight when we say the tight. It is means
Mm.
very very wide, very not very tight. It is means a lack of, yeah, tight, very tight, belt
Um,
tightening, yeah.
yeah, kind of. It is related to that, but it doesn't exactly mean the way I think you might be saying it.
Yeah,
But but when we talk about belt tightening, it probably originally meant the way that you're saying it. It probably did originally mean that, but the meaning here is sort of been extracted a little bit from that. It's a bit more distant in meaning. So when we say belt tightening here, it's sort of saying that let's say the situation is you have a job and all of a sudden you've got no overtime and you can't work at the weekend. So the amount of money you got coming in suddenly reduces, perhaps. So there's no overtime, let's
okay.
say. And so all of a sudden at home, you go home to your partner and say, "Oh no, I've just had a almost a pay cut because I'm not wanted the weekend or overtime." And so we have to do some belt tightening to save money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is like
So
a
so
to
so
say, okay,
so
yeah,
things have got
belt.
a bit worse for us. We need to save some money. I suppose the idea originally might be, I've always had the idea, when you talk about belt tightening, it's a little bit like you're eating less food now. So to save your trousers from falling down, you have to do your belt a bit tighter because you're eating less food, you're becoming thinner. I think that's my idea is the original sort of
Yeah.
context for it.
Yeah, now I translated it in my Ukrainian
Ah,
language,
yeah.
and yeah, it is showing me like yeah, belt. We need make belt tight, yeah, and it is
Mm,
means yeah, like to save,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
And you
it's
might,
quite
and
clever.
some people might even say, they might not actually say this, but they're implying it. They're saying, oh, I might say, I've had to make a new hole in my belt. So that's kind of implying that they've had to tighten their belt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they've
It is
looked, they've
more
made a new
more.
hole in their belt, and so they can make it even tighter, or something like that. So it's playing on this sort
It,
of idiom or context
it
here.
is more stronger. Yeah, I need.
Yeah, yeah. I might have put another two extra holes in my belt. That's being
Yeah.
silly now, isn't it, really? So in the next sentence, it then says undertaken. What does that mean? Undertaken.
Undertaken, it just means that someone had experience with this, yeah. Someone already have done it, yeah.
Already. I, I would say just undertaken just means done. You could say done. Not necessarily someone else has already done it, but you could just put the word done in there, I suppose.
Okay. Undertaken.
But if it's say an organization, a country's doing it or a government is doing it, you might use this sort of high-powered word, undertaken. If it's an organization that's doing something, if it's just me doing something, I would just say do. But if I'm part of a big business, I might use the word undertaken. It just means do effectively. But having said that, let's just pop it into the dictionary and get out some. See what comes up here. Effective means just means do. Oh, it's got an N on the end of it, so that puts it into the past tense effectively, or past participle. So if it's undertake. So
Undertake,
if we
yeah.
just, if we click on undertake, so so they say take on. So let's go straight to the synonyms. So you take on a job or you embark on a job. because ours had N on the end, means it's in the past tense, so it's been done already, hasn't it, really? So,
Yeah.
so if you undertake something, you agree to do it, or you promise to do it, or you write a contract to do it, or guarantee to do it. So it's the idea of do, really, I would suggest. So if I just listen to them saying it.
undertake,
So it's just the two words said together, really. You can see
Yeah.
it's these two words sort of glued together, but the meaning is slightly beyond either of those words separately, really, isn't it? So undertake. If there was an R on the end,
Undertaker.
yeah, that's right. So that would be a person who does funerals, which is a completely different meaning, really. Undertaker. Let's put an R on the end, actually, see what it comes up with. So undertaker. So this is a funeral person does funeral. So an undertaken is a person. So it is a person whose job is to deal with the bodies of people who have died and to arrange funerals. So that's
Mhm.
undertaker. So it's strange. Take
Yeah,
the
it
R
is
off. It's
completely different meaning. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but they are related in the sense that years ago, so it's something that they're doing, isn't it? The Undertaker does something. They're looking after the dead people. That's what they're doing. That's kind of,
Mm,
to my mind, where it always comes from. Because you can undertake a job of looking after the dead. That's how I understand it anyway. Be interested. Perhaps I'm just completely wrong. Let's go to the. That's how I've understood where it came from. So yeah, so for about 700 years ago, it comes from undertake, which means to do, and they stuck an ER on the end of it. Yeah, so that's how I untake it. Yeah, so it did originate from to undertake, to do. So so any words there you want to go back over again? So we looked at undertake.
is it choked off? Is it a phrasal verb? Yeah. Choked.
If someone chokes you, they've got their hands around your neck and
Ah.
they're sort of squeezing, and that means you
Mm,
can't breathe,
okay. Choked off.
choked off. Or probably the off wouldn't be there really, I suppose, but it could be there, I guess. But if you choke something off, it's normally it not it normally applies to not a person but something else. But so in this case, it's the supply of fuel that comes
Yeah. Yeah.
through the Straits of Hormuz. So trying to think of an example. So to choke off, it really normally it's normally about the supply of something. If you choke something off, so I had a lawnmower and it was ran on petrol, and there was a little valve that would turn off the fuel. And if I turned it halfway, I was half choking off the fuel going to the lawnmower. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I understand. Yeah. Choke off.
Yeah. Okay. So what this word here, that word, it's got a capital S there. So
The straight.
yeah, straight.
The Strait of. It is like a region. Yeah. The area.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, it's basically a particular area, a very particular area. That's it. So the Strait of Hormuz is in the Middle East. But when you use the word strait, it's in this context, it's sort of used about a narrow place on the sea, a particular place on the sea. So there's the Straits of, or the Strait of Gibraltar. Which is on the sea again. It's around Europe. There's probably some straits around the Kerch Bridge. You know the Kerch Bridge? There might be, I
Yeah,
don't know if there is. So it's a sort of narrow place. So if I look up the word straight, let's copy it.
narrow place. Yeah, okay, I understand. It is like I would say
Hmm.
like a valley with water. Yeah,
Kind of, yeah, sort of, yeah. That's how I understand it. So these last two here, so they're both pronounced exactly the same. These two words in blue, but the top one is mainly used for the Straits of Hormuz, the Straits of Gibraltar, a place where there's water, basically, a small flow of water between rocks and land masses. But this one here is when you have like a straight line, this bottom one, that's a straight
yeah.
line. So there's these two words. But with this top one, you might say, if I, I might say I'm in dire straits. So you said about having enough money. If I don't have enough money, I might say I'm in dire straits. That's a way of saying I haven't got enough money. I might say it to my friends. I won't go into a shop and say I'm in dire straits. It sounds a bit weird, but it might make them laugh. So let's just put the word straight in the dictionary. There are a couple of other places you would use it, and there might be some better examples. There you go, straight-laced, straits of whatever. I'll put a capital S in there again, didn't I? So if you're desperate, you're in strait. It's the same meaning as in straits or straight, not straight. It doesn't imply you're in a desperate state.
Yeah, yeah. When I feel desperate, yeah, it is like okay, straight.
Yeah. Yeah. So here they put the two words together. So desperate straits. So I'm in a
Ah,
desperate position.
desperate.
I'm in a bad
Okay.
position. I'm in a bad position. So, but so you might say I'm economically in the bad, dire straits, or but they're saying desperate. I should say desperate. But if I just take the capital S off and make it a small s because it's capital, they treat it differently, don't they? Strait of Canzo. Oh, the Straits of Dover. I didn't realize that. Sometimes that's right. Sometimes it has an S on the end, and sometimes it doesn't. So the Strait of Hormuz, there's no S, but some of them do have an S. Oh, here we go. So that's the one there. So the Straits of Gibraltar. Again on the sea somewhere. So it's a channel or narrows or a stretch of water. So it's basically with the water really. So it's
Yeah, like channel. Yeah.
yeah, a channel of water particularly, I suppose. It's not, we don't talk about it on dry land, but the other way of using it, if someone is in dire strait or desperate straits, they're in a very difficult situation, usually because they do not have much money. Yeah, so that's right. There are some other places you could use it. So, oh, here we go here. Oh, there's just not loads, but a good number, as always. Oh, they're saying archaic. Yeah, okay. So there we go. That's that one there then. So there's two ways to use. There's two words which sound the same, the two straits, but they're used in different ways. So that was the top one we looked at, and really straight. So straight has its naught to do with a line being straight. Or if you're very honest, you might say, "Oh, he's as straight as a die," or he's straight. He's very honest. Or if you're gay, then you're not straight. So some people say if you're gay, that's the opposite of being straight, you might say. That's the one version of it, you might say, I should say. Or other version, I suppose. Um, any other words there that might be interesting? Perhaps not, I
How
don't
about
know.
is arguing people are
Uh, uh,
arguing
I can't see where that is.
government is arguing.
Urging.
Okay, urgent. It is like necessary. Yeah, urgent,
We know we
emergency.
had
Yeah.
we know we had the other word which was impose. So impose is sort of making it by law. You have to do this. It's almost forcing people. If you urge, you're not forcing people. You're just sort of encouraging them to do it. or
Okay.
encourage you. Oh, we really would like people to do this or not do something, perhaps even. So I'm going to urge you to do this.
Urging.
So it's almost like it's not the same meaning. It's interesting. I wonder if it came from urgent. I don't know, but I don't think it did because of the different spellings, of course. But
Urging.
so let's well, not spellings, but let's put that in. I keep so
Yeah, it's probably two different words.
urging. So if you urge someone to do something, you try hard to persuade them to do it. So
Persuade.
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
persuade. Yeah. So here it says beg, appeal, exhort. Um, yeah, okay. So they're all about the same, really. So strongly advise. So that's not, if you advise someone, it's not force. It's sort of talking about it and giving all the benefits. It just comes from the Latin. It just comes from the Latin. I don't know why I keep looking at that. So to urge. So if you take the ing off, it just becomes urge with an e on the end. So there's ge at the end. It would be if
Yeah,
you take the
yeah,
I. If you keep
okay.
the
It is, yeah, continuous, yeah.
yeah, this is that's right.
Um,
Continuous. Yes.
Swaps you. For swap, it is exchange, yeah, swap.
Yeah, exchange. That's it. Yes, that's good. That's it. Spot on. Exchange.
Oops. Yeah, it's a bit difficult for me to understand. Short-sleeved piece. Is this probably some expression or
Um, I think most of the time I would say t-shirts. A t-shirt. A
t-shirt?
t-shirt.
T-shirt?
So let me tap it in here into
It's
the
the
just
same
Google.
like
So,
a t-shirt. Jeez.
so I've just tapped t-shirt in search. So this the spelling is just the letter T. So this is a t-shirt here. These are
Yeah.
t-shirts. But you could put T double E on there as well. Does that make sense? What these are?
Really? T and double E and N, yeah? Chin. No.
Well, no, that was. I don't think it said that. There was no N on the end of it. It just was T double E. It was just T double E.
T double E and
Oh, then an
S.
S, I should say. So it's plural. It's plural. T's.
Mm.
But to my mind, that's a little bit odd. I think perhaps they missed out the word shirt. I don't know.
Okay.
Or maybe in Thailand, maybe that's what they call them in Thailand. I don't know. Because it is Thailand they're talking about.
Probably, Tony, like you said before, that English slightly become change, became
Yeah, that's true.
different.
Yeah. There's always a little bit of change every exactly as you were saying earlier, that every generation changes a little bit. So I typed in exactly what they had on the BBC's website, and it's changed it, not changed it, but it says it still changed it to search t-shirts, the letter capital T, then dash shirts. So yeah. And all the answers are a letter capital letter T. So it's just I think it's a peculiarity of the website, really. I don't want to say a mistake, but yeah, I think it might be what they say in Thailand, perhaps. Any other words there? What about where it says odd numbered plates? Does that make sense? See, odd numbered plates.
Placed. Uh, numbered
Mm,
place. I
mm.
understand it is placed on a lorry, on a car.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, for
Yes.
the police to recognize if you're driving good or if you have insurance.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
But
Yeah, that's the kind of
odd,
stuff, isn't it?
odd, I don't know what does it mean. Odd.
Um, well, so in Britain, it's hard to understand how it can mean odd because most of them start with a letter or something. But if we're looking at a certain number, if you're looking at numbers, there's odd and even numbers. Does that make sense? So the number one,
Yeah, it is not odd.
so one is odd, and the
Ah,
number two is even, and then
okay,
number
if it
and
more, but number three, it is not even, it is odd, yeah?
I missed what you said. So, well, if I just so one is odd, three is odd, five is odd,
Seven
seven
is
is
odd.
odd. So it's every other number is odd, and the ones in between, like two, is even. So two is even, four is even,
Even.
six is even,
How
and it
can
goes
I,
on forever.
yeah, Tony, how can I spell even?
Just as it sounds, so that's even there.
Ah, okay, even, just, okay, okay, yeah, yeah, I got it. And,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and what's their idea about it? What they want to do with the
So with
odd
the
not,
number plates,
yeah, with the other.
I don't know how the number plates look, but maybe the very last digit or the last character on the number plate is a number,
Okay.
and by chance it will be odd or even, I guess. And so that they're saying you only people with odd numbers on certain days can drive, they use their vehicle.
Mhm.
So let's say Monday, only odd people can drive on a Monday. And that means that even people with an even number on the end of their number plate, I don't know where it is on the number plate, but they can't drive. So it's a bit difficult, isn't it? So only half the people at any one time, roughly speaking, will be using their vehicles, I guess. But I guess maybe there's trains or buses or something instead, perhaps. I'm just guessing, really, to a degree.
Yeah.
But I have heard about this in, I think, Myanmar previously, that for some, I guess maybe they've done this many times, saying COVID or some other crisis or problem. They've had this idea and they've done it before, I think.
Ah,
So it's not just now. It's happened in other problem times.
yeah.
So if we looked at a number plate in Myanmar, presumably be quite obvious. Maybe the first number, the first character is a number, and they just pick out has to be odd or even, I guess. Because it has to be one or two. It has to be up to nine, presumably, or zero, perhaps. So is
Mm.
zero an odd number or an even? I think presumably zero is even, I guess.
Uh-huh.
What do you
Yes.
think?
I don't know, but
Hmm.
mm, it is, yeah, it is zero. It's probably not related for this.
It doesn't compute. I think for mathematicians, they would almost certainly have an answer. And I'm pretty sure it's actually even. Although there's nothing there, how can nothing be even? But I think
Mm.
it's even. And there's probably people who spent a whole career trying to prove is it odd or even or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
fascinating. So, do you want to read this at all, or did I can't remember if I read this or not. I just can't remember. I think I read it. Do you want to read any of these words out again for practice, or
yeah,
we'll call it an
okay,
end here? I think
yeah.
we'll go then.
Mm. Running on empty, they declare they declared every Wednesday a holiday for public institutions. This is the this is the latest in
Hmm.
a series of belt tightening measures undertaken by Asian countries since the war choked off the Strait of Hormuz, which used to carry millions of barrels of oil from the Gulf into the region. In Thailand, the government is are urging people to swap suits for short-sleeved tees to reduce reliance of air conditioning,
Hmm.
while in my, Myanmar, private vehicles with even numbered plates will only be allowed to drive on even dates and odd numbered plates on odd dates.
Oh, right. Yes, that was good. Very good. Yes. I liked your Myanmar, or sorry, Myanmar.
Mine.
It's tricky, that one, isn't it? Maybe just the word above it though. So that's reliance. If you rely on somebody, you can say it's reliance. So if you
Lines. Oh,
reliance,
yeah, I will write it down here and to have a practice.
yeah, I think it's a fair bit to use that word, I suppose. So rely
Lines.
basically means
Can
rely.
you say it again? Air conditioning.
I think you sort of pretty much had that in a way, really. Good 80%. So yes, air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, I think you sort of had it really. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. It
Uh,
gets sometimes it's just we say AC. In America, they definitely say AC, or they might say air con. Might even just say air con and they mean obviously air conditioning.
mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't really use air conditioning a great deal in the UK, but I guess more and more homes are getting it because the weather's getting hotter, I think, in the summer.
Yeah, in our country, normally we use a lot of air conditioning
Oh, really? Yeah.
in some.
In the summer.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and you know what? When I moved to the UK, I was really surprised
Mm.
that people does not have air conditioner in a private house in a flat.
Mm.
It is very rare to see it that someone has. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit unusual. I do have a what's called a dehumidifier. A dehumidifier. So that just sucks out some of the moisture in the air, so it can make it slightly more comfortable when it's very
Um,
hot or very. It stops moisture forming on windows in the middle of winter, I guess. Also, so I think yeah, probably. I think as many people have an air dryer, you might say, as people have air conditioning. They do something vaguely similar, but they're not the same, I would say. But
yeah, it
my
is.
yeah, but
I
my
know.
dehumidifier was only about £100, 100 perhaps £150 nowadays, I guess. But aircon is much more expensive to install in the first place, I would say.
Yeah, and it require maintaining some
Maintenance, yeah, we say maintenance, yeah,
maintenance,
yeah,
maintenance. Yeah, and
yeah.
you know what? I know that in India, people don't have heating at home
Mm,
because they don't need it.
really, yes.
Yeah,
But would
and
they have?
Egypt as well.
Oh, it true, yes, yeah. I was in Egypt about more than 10 years ago, I suppose, and I was pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and I went into this lady's house. Well, there was a few of us there, and despite the fact that it was a bit of a shack, almost a mud hut, it wasn't really a mud hut, but it wasn't far from it. They had air conditioning in this. I say shack, it's a bit rude, but it was a very simple house they had. And it was just surprising for me to see a very simple house having air conditioning. It was just really weird. But but I guess it's so hot there. It's so hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
50 degrees hot. I very much understand it. It's really weird.
Yeah, and you know what? And normally I understand that winter time, when winter time come, yeah, we need to spend more money for the heating, yeah. But
Mm.
yeah, but in, for example, Egypt, they needed spend money for the air conditioning in
Yes.
summertime. You see?
Yeah. That's it. Yes. It's the other way around. It's so strange, isn't it?
Yes, the world is yes is
But it's
very
interesting with Ukraine, isn't it? Because you get it so much colder in winter than we get it here.
yeah, it's
-20
true.
or something. Or what's the sort of the coldest it normally gets in Ukraine? In the north, is it, I guess? Is it the north you get the colder weather in winter?
I would say, for example, a part of Ukraine which are close to the Russia,
Mm,
the winter is more stronger
mm,
than part which is part of Ukraine which is close more to the Europe, to the
mm,
Poland,
mm.
because yeah. Europe have much slighter winter than Russia.
A more gentle
Yeah,
winter.
gentle. Yeah, gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, every part of Ukraine face at winter time snow and
Mm,
frost. Yeah,
mm.
it's just a bit different of degree. Yeah.
But quite a big difference, say, to the rest of Europe, or most of Europe, say,
Yeah.
is the further you go to the west, the warmer it seems to get, I think. Not in general, I think because you get quite a lot of snow in Germany and Poland. But the further you go to the Atlantic, say France, it gets less and less, doesn't it? It seems by the way.
Yeah, true.
Hmm. They talk about the Atlantic conveyor, which is the warm water from the Atlantic bringing some heat over pretty much the whole year round, I think.
Yeah,
Well, let's end it there. Otherwise, we'll
yeah.
never end at this rate. Let's make the official end. There we go.